The sun was high over Lagos, burning hot and bright. The streets were alive, cars honking, people shouting, and sellers chasing after customers. But above all the noise, one thing filled the air, the smell of food. Spicy jollof rice, roasted chicken, fried plantain, egusi soup. It made your mouth water even if you weren't hungry. Irene stepped out of her office building, breathing in that delicious air. She checked her phone, 1:14 p.m. Finally, she said to herself. Lunchtime. Irene was 31, smart and stylish. Her deep brown skin glowed in the sunlight, and her fitted navy blue gown hugged her like it was tailored by angels. Her natural curls bounced as she walked, and her white sneakers clicked lightly on the pavement. She worked in advertising and was one of the best in the company. People called her Madam Results. But today, even results could wait. Irene was starving. Connor, she called to her colleague. I'm going to that new restaurant, Golden Spoon. You coming? Connor raised his brow. That expensive place. I deserve small enjoyment, I beg. Today's been mad, she replied with a tired smile. Connor shrugged. Carry me along with pictures, I beg. Irene waved as she crossed the road, heading toward Golden Spoon. It was just a 5-minute walk but felt longer in the heat. She finally reached the entrance and stepped inside, and instantly, the world changed. The restaurant was cool and classy. Gold lighting. White marble floors. Gentle jazz playing. The smell. Heavenly. Good afternoon, Ma, said a young waiter in a black and gold uniform. First time here? Yes, Irene replied. I've heard too much about this place not to try it. She scanned the menu. Everything looked perfect. After a moment of temptation, she placed her order. Jollof rice. Spicy goat meat. Fried plantain. Peppered snail. And a cold glass of zobo. When the food came, she gasped. It was out on a plate. Neatly arranged, colorful, steaming. A small golden cat sat beside the plate, reading. Prepared with royal care. Welcome to Golden Spoon. She smiled, took a photo, and posted it on Instagram. Lunch fit for a queen crown #Golden Spoon vibes #chop life. She took her first bite and closed her eyes. Heaven, she whispered. Every bite was rich, perfectly spiced. The goat meat melted in her mouth. The snails were tender. The rice was soft, smoky, and just right. It was worth every naira. Around her, other customers were eating, laughing, and snapping photos. The place was filled with young professionals, influencers, and food lovers. It felt like the center of enjoyment. By 2:10 p.m., Irene was back in her office, full and smiling. Hope you brought me takeaway. Connor teased. Next time, she replied, rubbing her belly. Right now, I need sleep. That food was deadly sweet. That night, Irene posted a full food review on her WhatsApp status. Golden Spoon is not overhyped at all. That snail alone deserves a national award. She went to bed happy. But around 2:30 a.m., the pain started. It was sharp, twisting, stabbing pain in her stomach. She jumped out of bed and rushed to the bathroom, sweat pouring down her face. She threw up. Then sat on the floor, shaking. Her flatmate, Sod, knocked on the door. Irene, are you okay? I don't know, Irene groaned. My stomach is killing me. Sod helped her back to bed. Maybe the snail didn't sit well, Sod offered. I've eaten snail before. It's not supposed to feel like this, Irene whispered. By morning, she could barely stand. But she still went to work. Irene was one of those people who didn't like making a fuss. She took 2 painkillers, drank tea, and pushed through the day. But the pain didn't go away. Over the next 2 weeks, things got worse. She couldn't eat properly. She lost weight. Her skin became dull. She started feeling tired all the time. Even simple tasks felt heavy. She visited a small clinic. The doctor ran basic tests and said it was probably food poisoning. He gave her antibiotics and told her to rest. But nothing changed. She finally went to a bigger hospital. They ran more tests, scans, and asked 100 questions. Then came the day of answers. She was called into the doctor's office. Sod came with her. The doctor didn't smile. Irene, we've reviewed your tests and scans, he said gently. I'm afraid it's more serious than we thought. Irene sat up straighter. What is it? The doctor sighed deeply. You have colon cancer. It's advanced. The room went silent. Sod gasped. Colon, what? Irene's lips parted, but no words came out. Her heartbeat roared in her ears. But I don't drink. I don't smoke. I eat clean, mostly. I know. But cancer doesn't always play by rules, the doctor said softly. Tears filled Irene's eyes. Is it curable? We'll try. But you have to start treatment immediately. That night, Irene lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mind kept going back to that plate of food. The beautiful restaurant. The laughter. The photo she posted. The card that said Royal Care. She wondered, was something wrong in the food? Was it the snail? The rice? Or was this something waiting inside her, just waiting for a spark? And why her? She didn't have answers. She didn't have strength. She didn't post anything online. Golden Spoon continued trending. People still queued outside for their lunch. Influencers still posted smiling selfies with their golden plates. But Irene was fighting something they couldn't see. Something that didn't care about gold. Something growing inside her. 3 days after the test results, Irene sat in the hospital hallway, legs trembling, hands cold. Her head was still spinning. The words from the doctor echoed in her mind like a terrible drumbeat. You have colon cancer. It's advanced. She was 31. She had dreams. She had plans. A cancer diagnosis wasn't one of them. Sod sat beside her, silent but close. She hadn't left Irene's side since the news came. I'm scared, Irene finally whispered. Her voice was so soft, it was almost like air. Sod reached out and squeezed her hand. You're not alone. We'll fight this. I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to start. Just then, the nurse called her name. Miss Irene, please come in. The doctor greeted them quietly. His glasses were perched low on his nose, and his face was serious. We've scheduled you to meet with the oncologist today. He'll talk you through your treatment options, he said. Irene nodded slowly, like a child being told about something she didn't want to hear. But doctor, she asked suddenly, what causes colon cancer? How did I even get it? The doctor leaned back in his chair. Many things can increase your risk. Sometimes it's family history. Sometimes it's diet, eating a lot of processed food, red meat, food with chemicals or low in fiber. Sometimes, it just happens. Irene thought of that food from Golden Spoon. That snail. That rice. It felt like poison in her memory now. I just ate one plate, she muttered. Colon cancer doesn't start in one day, the doctor explained gently. It grows over time, often without warning. Some people don't know until it's already late. Is mine late? She asked. The doctor nodded slowly. It's stage 3. Not the end, but not the beginning either. We need to start treatment immediately, chemotherapy, possibly surgery later. Irene's breath caught in her throat. Chemo. I lose my hair, my body will change. The doctor gave a sympathetic look. It's hard. But you can survive this. We've seen others survive it, even at stage 3. Tears welled in her eyes. But how will I pay for all of this? I don't have millions lying around. That's the hard part, the doctor said honestly. Treatment is expensive. But we'll try to connect you with cancer support programs. Later that evening, Irene sat at home, staring at the mirror. Her reflection didn't look sick. Her brown eyes were still sharp. Her lips still full. Her skin still had a trace of glow. But inside, everything had changed. She remembered a quote she once read, "Your life can flip in a day." Now she understood it. That one plate of food had started everything. At least, that's what it felt like. It had been perfect. Tasty. Expensive. Hyped. And maybe dangerous. Her stomach twisted, not just from fear, but from a feeling of betrayal. She had trusted that restaurant. The name Golden Spoon still rang in her head like a curse. Her phone buzzed. Messages were pouring in. Babe, you've been quiet. Oh, hope you're okay. Where's the food content? Miss your IG reviews. Heard you went to Golden Spoon. Their snail is life. She wanted to scream. Instead, she typed a single post. Be careful what you eat. Not everything gold is good. She hit post and tossed her phone aside. The next day, Sod went with her to meet the oncologist. He was calm, middle-aged, with kind eyes. You need to come in for chemo every 2 weeks, he explained. You may feel weak, nauseous, and tired. But we'll monitor you closely. Irene nodded. How long will this go on? Several months. Then we'll assess if surgery is possible. She swallowed hard. What are my chances? With treatment, your odds of survival improve a lot. But we have to act fast. Sod leaned forward. Doctor, what about food? Can she eat normal food? The doctor shook his head gently. From now on, everything she eats matters. Clean food. Natural food. No fried or processed things. Lots of fruits, vegetables, and water. Irene sighed. So no more Instagram food trips. Not for now, he replied. Your body is in a war. You need to treat it like a sacred place. By the weekend, Irene had started her first round of chemo. It was brutal. She threw up twice. Her body shook with chills. Her head throbbed. And yet, the real pain wasn't the medicine, it was the feeling of watching her normal life fade like smoke. Her job sent flowers. Her manager called once. But slowly, the calls reduced. Even Connell, her usual lunch partner, stopped checking in. People moved on. And Irene was left alone with her fight. One evening, while resting, Sod came in with her laptop. "I found something," she said. "You're not the only one." Irene blinked. "What do you mean?" Two other people who ate at Golden Spoon around the same time also fell sick. One had serious stomach ulcers. Another collapsed days later. Irene sat up. "You're joking." Sod shook her head. "It's all on Twitter." But the restaurant deleted comments and blocked people. Something is fishy. Anger rose in Irene's chest. "So it wasn't just me." "No," Sod said. "And you know what? I think they need to be exposed." Irene stared at the screen. Something inside her, something stronger than fear, began to rise. Maybe this wasn't just about cancer. Maybe this was about truth. About warning others. About holding people accountable. She picked up her phone and typed something bold. "They served me beauty on a plate. But it cost me my health. I'm fighting cancer now. You deserve to know the truth." She posted it. This time, she didn't toss her phone aside. She watched as the comments exploded. Irene sat on her bed, heart pounding as her phone buzzed like a drum. Her post was spreading fast. 30 comments. 120 shares. 900 likes. In 1 hour. Her story had touched a nerve. "You're so brave for sharing this, Irene. I've been sick too since eating there. But I thought it was just me. Golden Spoon is overrated anyway. We need to report them." Sod stood in the doorway, holding a hot flask of pap. "You're trending." Irene looked up, weak from the latest round of chemo. For the first time, not because of food. Sod placed the flask beside her and Saturday, "You're doing something bigger now. This is about justice." Irene sighed. "Justice won't cure my cancer, Sod." "No, but it might save someone else. And maybe, just maybe, it might give you peace." Irene nodded slowly. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number calling. She hesitated, then picked up. "Hello." A firm voice replied, "Is this Miss Irene Adewale?" "Yes. This is Barrister Benga from Consumer Watch Nigeria. We saw your post. We are investigating Golden Spoon. Are you willing to give a formal statement?" Irene sat up straighter. "Yes. Yes, I am." 2 days later, Irene found herself at a small office in Yoba. Thin but determined, she wore a scarf over her bald head and sunglasses to hide her tired eyes. The team at Consumer Watch welcomed her warmly. "You're a hero, Irene," one woman said. "We've received 4 more complaints about that restaurant, all within the last 2 months." They gave her water and a tissue box. Then they pressed record. "Can you tell us, in your own words, what happened?" Irene took a deep breath. "I'm a food reviewer. I went to Golden Spoon because of the hype. It looked clean. Tasted good. But within hours, my body broke down. I started bleeding. Days later, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. Stage 3. A man in a white shirt leaned forward. "Do you believe the food caused it? I can't prove it started the cancer, but I believe it triggered something that brought it to the surface. And I'm not the only one." They nodded. Thank you, Irene. Your courage could spark a major investigation. She left the building feeling lighter. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't just sick. She was fighting back. That night, social media exploded. #Golden Spoon exposed. #Justice for Irene. #Toxic luxury. Blogs picked up her story. One headline read, Instagram foodie battles cancer after Golden Spoon visit. Some commenters supported her. Others doubted her. So now we're blaming restaurants for cancer. She probably had it already. Looking for attention. Let's wait for the full truth. Irene didn't reply to the hate. But when she saw a message from a young woman named Bimp, she froze. Irene, I'm 29. I had colon cancer too last year. I didn't speak out. But your post gave me courage. Thank you. Tears rolled down Irene's cheeks. A week later, Consumer Watch released a preliminary report. It found the restaurant had used expired imported sauces, stored meats without proper freezing, failed recent health inspections, but paid to hide it. The public went wild. TV stations called Irene for interviews. NGOs wanted her to speak at cancer awareness events. A health food company offered to sponsor her meals during treatment. Golden Spoon, on the other hand, denied everything. Their lawyer issued a cold statement. We maintain high standards. We regret Miss Irene's illness, but we reject any connection to our establishment. They even threatened to sue her for defamation. Irene laughed bitterly. They gave me a plate. I gave them my health. Now they want my silence. Sod shook her head. Let them try. The truth is on your side. But one night, as Irene lay in bed, her body aching from treatment, doubt crept in. What if people stop caring? What if I die, and the restaurant stays open, still serving poison on a plate? She turned to the wall and whispered a prayer. God, if this is my last year, let it matter. The next morning, something incredible happened. A video surfaced from a former Golden Spoon employee. He had worked in the kitchen. He showed footage of the dirty freezers, the moldy snails, the reused oil, and the fake labels pasted on expired tins. He said, I kept quiet for too long. But Irene's story woke me up. I couldn't live with the guilt. The internet broke. Within 48 hours, the Lagos State Food Safety Authority shut down Golden Spoon. Yellow tape covered their doors. Angry customers gathered outside. TV crews filmed live. Irene watched it all from her hospital bed. Sod ran into the room waving her phone. You did it. You shut them down. Irene smiled weakly. Her body was tired. But her spirit was glowing. Later that day, a nurse entered with an envelope. Someone dropped this off for you, she said. Irene opened it slowly. Inside was a handwritten note. Dear Irene, I'm sorry for what you went through. I own Golden Spoon. I trusted my staff too much. I never meant for this to happen. I wish you healing and peace. Please accept this small donation toward your treatment. Mr. Odigon. A check for 3 million Nigerian nairas was enclosed. Irene stared at it for a long time. She didn't know if it was guilt money or genuine remorse. But she did know one thing. Her voice had shaken something powerful. That night, she made another post. This fight wasn't just mine. It was for every quiet patient. Every scared voice. Every sick body blamed for being too picky. I didn't plan to be an activist. I only planned to eat. But sometimes, God chooses your purpose through pain. She put the phone down. The journey wasn't over. The cancer was still inside her. But something else had grown too. Courage. The hospital room was quiet, too quiet. Irene stared at the ceiling. The air smelled of disinfectant and loneliness. Machines beeped softly around her, and her skin felt cold, even under the blanket. Her body was no longer her own. It had become a battlefield. The doctors had said it plainly that morning. The cancer has spread, Irene. It's moved to your liver? She didn't cry. Not yet. She just blinked slowly and whispered, "How long do I have?" The doctor hesitated. With aggressive treatment, maybe a year. Without it, less. A year. 12 months. 52 weeks. Her chest felt heavy. Her hands trembled, but her voice was calm. "I want to go home." Sod was waiting outside the ward. When she saw Irene, she stood up quickly. "What did they say?" Irene looked at her, eyes dull. "It's worse." Sod didn't ask more. She just pulled Irene into a hug and held her. For the first time in weeks, Irene cried. Not just tears, deep, gut-wrenching sobs that shook her body. She cried for the pain, for the fear, for the future she might never see. And Sod cried with her. 2 women. 1 storm. They took her home that evening. Home was quiet, warm, and filled with soft light. The walls still had her old food award plaques. The kitchen, once filled with spice and music, was now silent. She walked slowly to the living room, dropped into her favorite chair, and looked around. "I don't want to die here," she whispered. Sod turned. "Where do you want to go?" Irene looked out the window. "Somewhere green. Somewhere peaceful. I want to see the ocean again." The next morning, something unexpected happened. Her fans, followers, and even strangers began donating to her. 1,000 Nigerian nairas from a student. 20,000 Nigerian nairas from a nurse. 100,000 Nigerian nairas from a businessman. The messages poured in. "Your story saved me. You're a warrior. We're standing with you, Irene." Sod showed her the total. 5.8 million Nigerian nairas. Enough for better care. Enough for one last trip. 2 days later, Irene and Sod arrived at a small beachside retreat in Bedegri. It was quiet and beautiful soft sand, whispering waves, and tall palm trees. The sea breeze was gentle against her face, and the salty air brought a strange peace. Irene walked barefoot on the beach, her scarf fluttering in the wind. She felt human again. Not just a patient. Not just a headline. Just Irene. One morning, she woke early to watch the sunrise. The sky turned pink and gold as light spilled across the sea. Sod joined her with hot tea. "You always said food was your love language," she teased. Irene chuckled softly. "Now it's silence. And sunshine." They sat together, sipping tea, feet in the sand. "I want to leave something behind," Irene said suddenly. "A real message. Not just a fight with a restaurant." "Like what?" "A short documentary. My voice. My truth. So people understand the warning signs. So they speak up earlier." Sod nodded. "We can do that." And they did. They filmed everything with just a phone and a microphone. Irene spoke gently, her voice weak but clear. Don't ignore blood in your stool. Don't ignore sudden pain or strange fatigue. Don't be ashamed to talk about your body. I didn't know. And when I found out, it was almost too late. Please, check yourself. Ask questions. Demand answers. You deserve to live. The video was 4 minutes long. They posted it online. Within 24 hours, it had 2.3 million views. People shared it like wildfire. Doctors reposted it. Health centers used it in seminars. A university even asked to show it during student orientation. Irene watched it all from her beach bed, smiling. She had become more than a victim. She had become a voice. That night, she lay quietly, listening to the ocean. Sod sat beside her, holding her hand. I'm tired, Irene whispered. I know. But I'm not scared. I know that too. She looked at Sod. Promise me you'll keep telling the truth. Even when it's hard. Sod's eyes filled with tears. I promise. Irene closed her eyes, her hand still in Sod's. The waves sang her to sleep. 3 days later, the world woke to the news. Irene Adewale has passed away peacefully. Her final message saved thousands. The tributes came from everywhere. TV hosts wept as they replayed her interview. Cancer survivors held vigils in her honor. The Ministry of Health launched a new campaign titled, Irene's Light, Early Detection Saves Lives. Golden Spoon was permanently shut down. Their owners charged with food safety violations. Irene's case had changed food laws in Lagos forever. But more than that, she had changed hearts. Back in her old kitchen, Sod opened a small notebook Irene had left behind. On the first page, in Irene's handwriting, were just 5 words. Live. Speak. Love. Forgive. Shine. Sod smiled through tears. Irene's light hadn't gone out. It had only begun to spread. A year had passed. But for Sod, it felt like yesterday. She stood in front of a crowd gathered at the Irene Adewale Memorial Health Walk in Lagos. Hundreds of people wore white shirts with Irene's face printed on them. The back of each shirt had her final words. Live. Speak. Love. Forgive. Shine. The sun was rising. The air was cool and calm. Sod stepped up to the small stage, holding the microphone with trembling fingers. Her voice cracked as she spoke. Irene was more than my best friend. She was a light in dark places. She spoke up when others stayed silent. And though cancer took her body, it never took her fire. The crowd clapped softly. Some wiped their tears. Today we walk. For her. For others. For truth. And for change. A drum beat sounded in the distance. Slowly, people began walking down the street, doctors, nurses, students, survivors, mothers, fathers, even children. They held signs. Early detection saves lives. Talk about your health. Food safety is a right. Sod walked beside them, heart pounding with purpose. Later that afternoon, she visited Irene's mother, Mama Adewale, now living in a small home provided by a health foundation created in Irene's name. The old woman hugged her tightly, whispering, "My daughter didn't die in vain." "No, Mama," Sod replied. She became a movement. Inside, the house was simple, neat, warm, and filled with memories. On the wall hung a framed certificate. In loving memory of Irene Adewale, advocate, survivor, teacher of truth. Mama saw the new book Irene had been working on before she passed, a cookbook called Modern Taste, The Heart Behind the Plate. It included not just recipes but short reflections on food, family, and health. "We're going to publish it," Sod promised. In her voice. Just the way she would have wanted. 2 months later, the cookbook launched in Ikeja. The hall was filled. Books sold out within minutes. Inside the first page was a handwritten message, copied from Irene's notebook. "Dear reader, food is love, but love must not poison. Know what you eat. Ask questions. Be kind to your body. And above all, don't wait until it's too late to speak. With love, Irene." One of the guests was a young woman named Kemi. She approached Sod after the event, tears in her eyes. "I saw Irene's video last year," she said. "Because of her, I got checked early. They found a small tumor, but it was stage 1. They removed it. I'm alive today because of her." Sod hugged her, speechless. And just like that, she knew. Irene wasn't gone. She lived in every saved life. Years passed. The Irene Adewale Foundation built its first free colon cancer screening center in Suralere. Every year, more people walked in her memory. More lives were saved. More conversations were started. And more women stood up to speak their truth. And at the heart of it all was one simple story. A young woman bought food. She felt sick. She asked questions. She was ignored. She fought anyway. And though she lost her life, she saved the world.